Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Good morning, everybody out there. It's Monday. We got some news here to discuss. The Las Vegas Raiders are working out cornerback Marcus Peters, which we all kind of knew already. It has been expected now for months at this point. First reported by Graphic Raider that the Silver and Black were expected to sign the veteran cornerback Peters from his old visit all the way back on May 15th. But guess what? We got a brand new report that just came out bright and early this morning from Ian Rapoport. Not only are the Raiders going to be working out veteran cornerback Marcus Peters, man, they're also going to be working out another veteran. He's a corner, Troy Hill. And this has been a name that I've discussed a few times on this programming just for the simple fact of I knew that this team was looking for a tough veteran, let's call it the way that it is, and Hill has some experience with that. So what you guys are going to see here on today's show is I'm going to break down everything that I usually do, the news around Peters, and if anything happens today, be ready because today could be a pretty wild day here on this show. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications because if either one of these players sign, Chugs and I are going to be going live, and today's actually my off day, but I've been doing a lot of wedding planning with Alex, so I took today off. We got engagement photos. It's going to be interesting. That's all I know if one of these two guys end up signing. But I'm also going to talk about Hill and essentially some of his numbers, some of his stats, what he could potentially bring to the team, and then what was his connection, right? Because usually when the Raiders are going to bring somebody in with this regime, that there is a connection. All right, so let's first start here with Peters, right? Peters had his first visit with this team all the way back on May 15th. And this is like, I'm talking like even March. Like Graf was on the Raiders report and he said, hey, I spoke to Peters at the Pro Bowl. He said he wanted to be a Raider. This is a guy who grew up in Cali, grew up a big-time Raider fan, wants to be a part of that Silver and Black organization. And then last week I reported that he already had a deal done. It was agreed to. Hey, man, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to be playing with the Raiders. But until he gets actually in there, passes his physical, and then until he actually gets in there and signed the dotted line, nothing is officially official. So let's talk about Peters here, and I'm about to get into Troy Hill, but I do have a question because that's what the Raiders report is about. It's about interacting with the nation. When you hear the names Marcus Peters and Troy Hill, which guy are you more excited that the Raiders could potentially sign? Hell, they might sign both. But which player are you more crazy about? If you like Marcus Peters, I want you to type MP down below. If you like Troy Hill more, then I want you to type TH. I'm going to be looking. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break, so scroll on down and let me know. All right, so between Peters and Hill, I think both of them can bring a certain element of swagger, and I feel like I've said swagger so much when it comes to Peters and what this Raiders defense needs, but let's face it, they need some swagger. This has been a really bad defense for a really long time, and one of the things that I love about Peters is that fit in this Patrick Graham system. He is a press man corner. A lot of people are going to throw a lot of different statistics at you, and I'll say the exact same thing. Peters is coming off his worst season of his entire professional career. So why am I excited? Guy forces turnovers, whether that be forced fumbles or interception. The Raiders were ranked dead last in defense last season in terms of turnovers. So I would like for that turnover stat to turn over to a different one because let's face it, man, we need them. Last season when targeted, and man, he was targeted 28 times. He gave up 12 catches, a quarterback rating of 82 against him. Like, plain and simple, Baltimore didn't use him in the right way. And if the Raiders want to run this aggressive defense where, you know, they're putting hands up on you early, they're going to try to get underneath your skin. And by all accounts, that's what it sounds like this type of year is going to be for this organization, for this defense. So I am excited to see how Peters fits into that mix. In terms of Troy Hill, for those of you that do not know, Troy Hill was born in 1991. And he has played in 97 games throughout his entire career. His very, very first season was with the Cincinnati Bengals back in 2015. And majority of people know him, which I mainly know him the most from his days back with the Los Angeles Rams. He played with the Rams from 2016 all the way up to 2020. Then he played a season in Cleveland, headed back to Los Angeles last offseason. But the big year that he had was back in 2020. And I can remember talking about him as much as I did because it was a matter of, is he really that good, or is he that good because he's opposite of Jalen Ramsey and he's never getting the team's best guy, right? Like, people are worried about Ramsey. They weren't worried about Hill. But back in that 2020 season, he had 3 interceptions. He had 2 touchdowns. He was a turnover machine, if you will. Last season, played in only 12 games and started in 12 of them as well. Had 1 interception. He had 4 pass breakups, 67 combined tackles. The year before, when he went to Cleveland, 49 tackles. He had a pass deflection, but started only 4 games. When I watch Hill, when you look at that 2020 season, I mean, it was, to me, a little bit of the outlier. According to PFF, he had a 75.1 PFF coverage grade. An overall grade, that's again in 2020, which kind of, I'll say, put Hill on the map, if you will. Then he goes to Cleveland, and I like corners that have a stronger coverage ability. And this maybe could be defensive scheme, and maybe it wasn't on the right fit. I do think having Jalen Ramsey opposite beside you is going to definitely bolster or bump up your overall productivity. But in 2021, coverage grade of 53.5, a run defense grade of 77.6, according to PFF. Last year, 65.4 overall grade, a 77.4 run defense grade, a coverage grade of 60.5. I do think that Hill is a physical corner, and I do think that that is going to be something that the Raiders want. I'm not 100% sure if this team decides to sign both of them. They could just decide to work out both, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm telling you this right now, if they sign Peters and they sign Hill, both of those guys are going to make the 53-man roster. Like, that's going to make this equation very intriguing, considering the fact of Nate Hobbs is going to be a lock. He's going to make this team. The amount of money that they gave Brandon Faison, he's going to make this team. Duke Shelley better make it because he's one of the better corners on this freaking roster. And then you got Ja'Cory Bennett. He's going to make this team. And then if you were to add these 2 players in here, I mean, I don't know what it means for a David Long Jr. I don't know what it means for a Tyler Hall, a Sam Webb. Like, this team is starting to build a nice amount of depth, if you will, on this roster. So when you heard the news this morning that the Raiders are working out not only Marcus Peters, but also Troy Hill, I want to know right now down in the comments, what is your one-word reaction to that news? My reaction to that news is veterans. This is a team that is looking for veterans where they need it. They also need depth, and that's exactly what Peters and Hill are going to be able to bring to the table. But I mentioned earlier on the show, what's the connection? Because usually, with this regime, there is always a connection in some way or another. And I laugh a little bit because I'm on Troy's Wikipedia page here, and to no surprise, he did have an overlap with the New England Patriots back in 2015, which maybe that was an opportunity for him to get to know McDaniels and Ziegler, but he never saw the field, right? That was a year where he played with the Patriots in 2015, but then he ended up going to the Rams that exact same season. So maybe it just didn't 100% work out, and that's not the reason why he was brought in. He was brought in because of what he's done now. He was an undrafted player, UDFA from Oregon, all the way back in 2015, and had some opportunities to play some football here and there, but has played for the Patriots. He's played for the Rams, the Browns, back to the Rams again. And I'm excited to see what this team has in store. I know there was a lot of rumors out there that, this team's not trying to win football games, and I've seen the reports out there. There's at times I sit here and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I do believe that you will see Josh Jacobs by week 1. I've seen the rumors out there. I can confirm that he was in that text messaging group with all the running backs out there, and I was also told that they kind of came away with it as, well, we're kind of in a tough spot because it's tough for the star running backs, and the only way that you make it a little bit easier for them to get their money is if you risk it for 7th rounders and for UDFAs as well. And let's face it, 7th rounders, UDFAs, the reason why they're making this challenging on the star running backs is because they're going to go out there and they're going to fight for their job right away. Like, they're not going to risk it because they're not the guaranteed first round, second round pick that's going to get those opportunities. Another really good news thing that happened yesterday, Jimmy Garoppolo, he passed his physical. I broke down the news yesterday morning that he was going to be reporting the Raiders training camp, and it was expected to pass his physical according to Tom Pelissero. And then about 30 minutes later, it was confirmed that it was in fact passed, and his expectations are that he's going to be out there practicing with the Raiders on their first day of training camp, which I am really excited to see how all this goes down. I know football, it feels like it's finally back, and it does. It feels like it is back. So I want to make you guys a quick little video this morning breaking down some of the things that you might be able to expect from Peters and Troy Hill. But again, this is coming in from Ian Rapoport. The Raiders are working out veteran cornerback Troy Hill today, along with former Ravens corner Marcus Peters. The versatile Hill can play inside and outside. That's a fact. And he started 12 games for the Rams last season. LV looking for back-end help before camp. So he's going to be 32 next month, and it looks like a really interesting week. I know I tweeted out that this is going to be an interesting week. It is. So please take that second. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications, because if any big-time Raiders news does go down, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, we're going to be keeping you guys up to date here on the Raiders Report. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. If any other things happen, I'll do my best here to update you guys in the comments. Like I said, I got engagement photos today, but you guys come first. So if anything happens, I'll probably see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and always remember, go Raiders. If you made it this far in the video and you want more, click that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the content here, we actually have a lot of other types of content, a lot more graphics, so you can click this button here. And then if you want even more content around the silver and black, let me show you why we are the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube. So 2 videos, hit that subscribe button. Peace out.